Hey, good morning. I'm so glad that you're here today. My name is Andrea Smith. I have the privilege of being the pastor here at West, and we are in a message series called The Elephant in the Room. So here's my buddy. Last week, I held him all throughout the service. You're going to see him over the next 6 weeks, just various places. So today, I'm just going to let him hang out here because I think y'all were very distracted last week that I held him throughout the whole service. But anyway, today is going to be just one of the most amazing days I think we've had at West in a long, long time. We have a special guest with us, and he's out in the hallway. Had the privilege of seeing him for just a second ago, and we met 12 and a half years ago in 2011, and it was a fluke mission trip that we went. We were supposed to go to India, and that trip fell apart. And 2 weeks later, 20 people, we ended up going to Uganda with a nonprofit out of Charlotte. And we met this man named Pastor Jeffrey, and today you get to meet him. And we're going to talk about the work that he's been doing at Acres of Hope. But bigger than that, we're going to talk about God. And in our world now, we get awful hung up sometimes on terms. And so the reason we're calling it the elephant in the room is because oftentimes we don't even want to talk about God or religion because we don't know quite what to say or how to say it. And if we'll just take a breath and step back and think about God being so much bigger than our human words can even wrap our heads around. And there's no more beautiful example of that than today, because you're going to meet a gentleman that has developed relationships with people here, literally on the other side of the world and across our nation over time. And you're going to see how God and his way of understanding God and worshiping God and engaging in his life with God has just changed the world. And you've been a part of that. And so I'm just so grateful for that opportunity today. If you are joining us online, we are so grateful for you. We're grateful that you make up this community and that you lead West into being what it is. We have some exciting opportunities these next several weeks for pop-ups, ways to engage in being the community. We believe that being a part of a faith community is more than just popping in on Sunday morning for an hour and popping out. We want you to get to know one another. We want you to grow in what you believe and how you believe it and how we live it out. So we have opportunities for you. We have an online study this Wednesday night. We have a pop-up, a fireside chat tonight. So please take a look at our website. Take a look at the info we have outside. And if you're new to us and you've not worshiped with us before, you're newer to us, scan the QR code that you see. Let us know that you're here. Even if you're online, we would love to know that you're worshiping with us for the first time or newer to West. So type that in the chat room. Sign up to get a free gift from us, and we have a station out front. We hope that you find today meaningful, relevant, and transformational, and we're so glad that you're here. So I got to see my first real live elephant, not in just a little container, with Pastor Jeffrey when we went on safari in Nebi. It's one of the most just awe-inspiring experiences when we come to see you, to see creation in its natural beauty. And so thank you for providing that opportunity. Will you give a warm welcome to Pastor Jeffrey? So we have not rehearsed this. We wanted it to be organic conversation. And we met a long time ago. Accidentally, we came with Worldwide or World, what was the nonprofit, Sarah Beth's nonprofit? Samaritan's Feet, okay. And Jeffrey, say your name just so we can do a sound check with your mic. Yeah. It's muted. Okay, this is going to be uncomfortable. Just stand up real second. All right, now talk.
Okay.
Oh, yay. All right. So we came with a nonprofit out of Charlotte, and we brought some folks from Williamson's Chapel that ultimately became West as well. And we were standing out in the middle of a field. Tell us about that field. Tell us about that land to start off with.
Thank you so much for welcoming me again after some years back. I remember when you came and we were talking about Acres of Hope and the vision you have. Somehow when I'm talking, you think that everything is in place. So now you say, we would like to go and see the place and then know what to do. I think where I laid your team was under that tree. And that tree is very significant because it's where Acres of Hope started.
This tree right there?
The mango tree. The team started the first prayer. You pray here, dedicating the land. And then, you can see as a tree and grasses. I know as most people are seeing tree and grasses. And some people are calling me crazy. I remember one of the team members asked me, but how much do you have in place? Because that's a big project. Then in my heart I said, but yes, I know what I'm seeing. I'm not seeing grasses. I'm seeing pod houses. I'm seeing schools and other things. And I'm seeing the primary focus is orphans having a place where they will have a happy childhood upbringing. So we started under that tree. Then I remember when I talked with you, you told me you have nothing, but you're going to come back.
We did not have anything, right?
I think when I told you that you have to be a good advocate when you come back home. And then I always talk about the 12 spies sent to the promised land. 10 came and looked at grass and trees and very challenging. Though maybe the grass were healthy, but I consider it to be one of the 2 spies who went so hard because you're God sent. You're God sent there. You came and talked positively about what you saw. And to my surprise, that Easter week, I remember you sending me an email saying, Pastor Geoffrey, God has done something for Acres of Hope. You told me a testimony how the pastor challenged the church after you briefed him of your coming, and then how checks were written, and asked me, how are we going to start? Should we start with one and one by one, or we can't start with all the 4? And then I told you, we can start with all the 4 if the funds are there. And then you say, okay, I need proper record keeping, and I need accountability. I say, that's what I do. So we started building the 4 pod houses that I go. We started all the 4 foundations, build the wall. And then by the end of the year, it was finished. So the first children were brought in. And when they were brought in, of course, the school was not nearby there. So the first school was, again, started under that very mango tree. And I hope you saw. And then when the number started, classes started increasing. And I think this is the girl, this is Daphne, the one you sponsor.
Oh, wow.
But she's not this height now. She's
Right.
a big lady now. She's in her final year, high school, senior 6. And we started with this structure. We went to teen classrooms. And then when you move on, you will see that to date, God has really, are you seeing? That's what the Lord has done. When you go to Acres from Mango Tree, that is where we are now.
That's the mango tree?
No, the mango tree is still there, left
Okay.
behind, but those are the classrooms that are having offices, having primary 1 to primary 7, and preschool, that is baby, middle, top. And this other building, tentatively, the high school is occupying it. But we are praying, believing God that hopefully by next year, the high school will go to that location. Because they're occupying these ones, and now the kids are over congested. Because the government requested us that we cannot only give good things to the orphans. We must open it up for the paying parents so that they can also access. And to let you know that we are striving as the best primary school in the district.
Yeah, I love watching your test scores and seeing the success rate and how Acres
Because
of Hope.
we have started humbly, but we are now leading in average.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a history for a lot of the folks that haven't been here from the beginning. When we came and when Pastor Jeffrey was talking about the land and the mango tree, we had spent the week with Jeffrey in 3 different areas of Uganda giving tennis shoes to kids. And then it was the last day. And if you guys could go to the blueprint picture, it was the last day that we were there. And Pastor Jeffrey said, you know, I want to show you something. And so Lance and I were there, and they took us in, and we looked at some blueprints. And he unrolled them and said, you know, here is my vision. And I'd never seen a set of blueprints before, and I certainly had not intended, you know, for that conversation. And in that moment, I remember thinking, I don't know what to do. And I think a lot of times in our lives, when we follow God and we're living our lives, we don't know what to do. And then we find ourselves in the middle of this experience, and we don't know next steps. And one of the things that I want us as followers of Christ, if we're at that place in our life, or if we're just searching for meaning in life, to understand that we have this gut feeling, and 99.9% time, that's the Holy Spirit. We call it the Holy Spirit working in us. And so in that moment with you and the blueprints, we're like, okay, you know, we'll pray for you, you know, and that's really about all we could do. And so it was the day before we were supposed to leave. Pastor Jeffrey took us out to the land. We're standing there with the mango tree, and he's like, this is where my vision, which is from God, is to take place. And he's like, will you consecrate the land? And I'm like, I don't even know what that means. Like, you know, I was not up on all my churchy terms, and I didn't know what consecrate meant. So I just thought, well, we'll pray for you. And, you know, I get choked up just a tad, because I remember standing in that land with hundreds and hundreds of children just coming from nowhere. I mean, not nowhere, their homes, but they had come from so far, their huts, and just being there. And you already had this amazing presence in the community. And if you ever want to see the face of God in humanity, you go to Uganda and you see Jeffrey with the people, because he just carries this amazing presence. And when he is there, it's just like breathtaking, the sacredness of the moments. And so all these children are there. They had on no clothes, some of them, and Jeffrey's like, these are who I feel called to serve. And he's like, will you please pray over the land? And so we did. And then honestly, in 2 weeks, we had $75,000 in hand. And because I feel like my responsibility is to be diligent in protecting your assets that you give to the church. I mean, when you financially invest in West, I think it's my responsibility as the pastor to take care of your money and not just go to TJ Maxx. And so, thank you for laughing. And so I asked you for accountability. And you're like, absolutely. And I was like, wow, is this too good to be true? I mean, I never met you before. I mean, one time, 1 week, and I wasn't even your main point of contact. And there was something about those moments that has now turned into this. And so you clearly have always just had this innate connection to God. For a few minutes, will you tell the West folks and our folks online your backstory before we got to that? Like, Jeffrey has a story. His life was not growing up in opulence and comfort. Tell these folks your story.
Yeah, you know, I'm humble always to say that I'm what you see me. And I came from a really humble background. I'm doing what really I've experienced as a child, because I grew as an orphan. And besides being an orphan, I think I had the most terrible, childhood life, starting from when I was 2 months old, and I always question, God, why? Because when I heard that I was abandoned by my own biological mother when I was 2 months old, and an elderly lady came and picked me by the roadside where I was dumped. She said she took me in a house, then started milking her goats to feed me with the goat's milk. And that's basically how I had my infant life. And in the process, so I felt ill again. And I survived married life when my mother took a decision, better not to see me die, but to help me die by trying to thrust a glowing firewood through my side, which I have the scars. I didn't know of the scars, but I was also told that scar, that's how I got it. I survived death.
She tried to do what, Jeffrey?
She felt that, she can't look at me suffer.
Right.
Like that, because I was already helpless. And when I share with her, I say, no, in my thought was, I must also die. So the first thing is, my plan was to kill you and your sister, and then I was going to commit suicide. But when I came into that village, that very fateful evening, I slept in the village. Nobody knew that I was there. So I came the following day in the morning, knowing that majorly elderly people, they go to the garden, which is a little bit distance, and you will be left alone at home and with your elder sister. And for sure it was true. When I walked in, I found that you are lying helpless by a fireplace. So my intention of coming was just to kill you. So now I improvise a means that if I strangle you, they will know that I strangle you. So now that you are placed by glowing firewood, I better pick one of the wood, and then I can just push it through your side into your stomach, go to burn, then I will lay you besides. So in the process of doing that, then I started crying so loud. And then this lady who took me was looking after me. He said I was too ill that she could not make it to the farthest garden. So she was about 20 meters away from the house. So when she heard me cry, she first felt that, no, God is taking his life, and I don't want to see, because I think God doesn't want me to keep him, because I also had 2 miscarriages. So I didn't have any child. Now I thought that this one would be the child that will now, make me be happy as a mom to look after him. But when I got that illness, she was also confused. So she said, when she heard me cry at the first time, she said, I don't want to see him die when I'm around. But I continued crying as no, she was trying to push the firewood in my side. So I got burnt, and she said, no, let me go. When she walked in, then she saw my own biological mother trying to push that firewood and burning my side. I think I was crying as a result of the pain of the firewood that is trying now to get through my side. And she shouted on her, she dropped me and disappeared, and never to be seen again. And she said it was something that she could not even tell anyone. Actually, she told me in 2004, when I was already an adult, married, having children. Then he said, I'm telling you this because I know that you're not mature enough. And the reason why your mom, you're not in good terms with your mom. I have my biological mom still alive to date, but I wonder when I call her to come to me, she doesn't. So I said, now, what happened? He said, okay, I made an alarm, and during that year, there are no hospitals. The first hospital that they started building after independence was in eastern Uganda. So in Mbale, which is a long way from where I got the incident. And so then she made alarm, the community came, said, what has happened? Said, oh, this child got burned. That is the statement she made. This child got burned, and so the belief in the community is when somebody got burned with fire, they move to the forest, they hunt rabbits. By that time, there are plenty of rabbits. They go to the forest, they hunt rabbits, and then they try to remove the fur, and then they use that fur, burnt, and then put it on the wound. So when the youth went and killed the rabbit, brought the fur, and they will burn it and then put it at my side. But it made everything septic. And I became even worse because now I will cough. I develop some cough. I'll cough, and when I'm coughing, you see blood and pus just coming out of my side. So she had no hope for me to live. And she was only waiting that, okay, maybe I was ill, and with that incident again happening on me, that was not the end of me. But something, triggered my dad. I always said the Spirit of God might be trigger him. When there was a colleague who was coming to his village, and then he passes through that village before he reaches his village. Then my dad said, no, I heard that my wife, one of my wives, because my dad was having 7 wives. So he said, one of my wives is in the village. I heard that he has left the children in the village and went away. So please, you go and check on them, because I'm planning to go and pick them away from that village. So the colleague came in, and he felt that, no, I have to see these kids before, because I'll go sometimes to have other business to do. I may not have time again to come and see them. So I better first see them, and then I go, and then I'll just leave the day I'm going back home. So when the colleague came, and he crossed, he looked at me, he did not even spend more nights in his own village. He went and spent that one night. The following day, he came and went back because he was hurrying to tell my dad, if you don't hurry, that child will die. The girl is okay, but the boy has no hope of living. And you will only try. I saw the wound at the side, very septic, and they're trying to put some traditional herbs on it. So you better. So when my dad heard that, he did not even spend more days. He went and asked for permission from their place of work. He was a police officer. So, and he was also a driver. So he took a vehicle, he drove. He came to the village. When he looked at me, he picked me up, and then he went and picked one of my stepmom, and then he drove me to eastern Uganda, and where at least my cough and I recover. Then I started staying with him until to 1979, when again he died because, okay, they said that was poisoned by his brothers it was during the war. So now he came to the village, wanted to make sure that he talked to the brothers because the war was coming and
The war
war
with
between Uganda and Tanzania.
Uh-huh.
So they were fighting to remove the dictator, Idi Amin Dada. So now most of officers were coming home to prepare, bring their children all today. But in the process, I think he succumbed, that incident where he was poisoned and he died. So he left us in the war. Things became so hard. Life became hard. Life for us, we have at that teenage years. I was 13 by then when he passed on. And it was during the war that everybody was moving on their own. And then I ended up coming to Pakwach because that guy, our father comes from Pakwach. So there
And
was.
Pequotch would be like for us going from here to maybe Huntersville. Like it was another region near where Jeffrey was from.
Yeah, so that was, actually we didn't know that place, but there was a guy that he saved during Amin's regime. It was the tribe that Amin regime was killing. So he connived with some of the killers where those soldiers were killed. Then he said, these people here, I will be the one to go and dump the body because they kill them and then they will drive the body and dump at the border between Uganda and Tanzania. So
What was his name again? The dictator name?
Idi Amin Dada.
Okay.
Yeah. So he saved some couples of Acholis and Langis, and it happened to be that one of the guys he saved was the commander among the Tanzanian troops. So when he reached in Kampala, they started looking where my dad was. Then, of course, because of war, I think they found, my dad, homes in Arua. So when he came to Arua, he found, he looked for my dad's home, and he found that he was already dead. He saw his grave. And then before he left Arua, it is when he picked us in the vehicle, and because he said the place was not good, so fearing the civil war, he picked us and he left us in Pakwach, where at least was a little bit fairer. There are no rebel activities. Though again, the Konyi group started there, and again we ended up, actually for the rest of my teenage life, I spent, under civil war. And as I spent the war under civil war, life wasn't easy. Feeding became a problem. I became, somebody who, didn't have where to stay, what to eat, and I would have to work in order to eat, work hard. The community didn't love us because, of the incident that happened on my dad. But I still persevered. But one thing I look at, I say, no, this is a terrible livelihood that I don't think I can stand, experiencing it anymore. Then I admitted that I was going to school, and I felt that I have to go to school after also to buy my own books, to buy my pens and other things. And besides that, I have also to look for what to eat. So one fateful day, actually it was a week that I refused to go to school now, because I didn't have anything to write on. And I went, tried to convince the watchman that keeps the boats by the river Nile side. And I told him, I want to go and fish because I don't have books, I don't have pens, I don't have any money to eat with. Then he told me, but I've never seen you, fishing alone. Why can't you wait for your colleagues to say, but when they come, they isolate me, they just go. So that very day, my plan was to commit suicide. I was planning to go, take the boat, cast the net, and then when I'm just in the river, I will just know what to do.
All right, so let me summarize that for the folks, just so, because it's so important for them to know your story, and just in case they're not hearing it all. You were born and then abandoned at
Yeah.
a couple of weeks old, and then your mother tracked you down in a neighboring village with the intent of killing you, tried to kill you. Your cries alerted the people in the village, and they came and tried to save you. She disappeared, and then because they were using, and I love your phrase, traditional remedies, they got rabbit fur, put it on you, you became septic, very sick, and then somehow something, we call it God, intervened. Your father comes, your father takes you and your stepmother to this hospital, and then you have some years of normalcy as best you can, and then there's this war going on with Tanzania, correct? And your father gets poisoned and killed, and in the middle of the war, and then basically you are back to fending for yourself again. And so the civil war is going on, and then you are without a home, without food, without the proper things that you need to go to school. And so there's a fisher person, and you're going to borrow one of his boats to go out on the River Nile and take your life by suicide, right?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So now finish your story.
Yeah, as I went in, and I've again, these days, and I say, I think God never wanted that one to happen, because the guy who keeps the boats insisted that you can't go alone, you can't go alone. Then I said, but I can. I've ever been with people, but I think I know how to row the boat, cast the net, and even bring the net back to the boat. So what happened, and two guys came, and they're also going to fish. And then he said, any of you is ready to go and fish with Geoffrey? They said, I know, Geoffrey knows how to row the boat, and he can take one small boat and go. So we are going, you can follow us. Then this other guy said, no, we are going to do like this. Three of you go together. One person should go